Everybody say this what? Confirms it. So Umar radiallahu anhu specifically was knowledge, and he's seen it directly. He doesn't leave his yaqeen unless there's some yaqeen, certainty, similar or stronger. I know this, I studied this, I read this. I know, trust me, Sheikh, I read another book. Maybe you did, but I'm not convinced until I see it myself. Everybody understand this? There was a story once, a brief story, a simple story. One of the mashaykh in Yemen, he narrated to us. He said that in the time of Sheikh Muqbil rahimahullah, and we know that Sheikh Muqbil had many enemies. Just like any great scholar of Islam is going to have enemies. If everybody loves you and likes you, something's wrong with your da'wah. If everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong. But if you're doing something right, then somebody's going to dislike you and hate you. That's the bottom line, because everyone does not like the what? The haqq. Let alone standing up and being direct for the haqq. So anyway, I don't know him. At the end of the day, he had enemies. And from those enemies that he had were people who wanted to practice tasawwuf, Sufism in Yemen. Alright? Especially in the south of Yemen, there are plenty of Sufis. Just like in the north, there are plenty of Zaydis. So therefore, some of the Sufi people, they said that Sheikh Muqbil was too harsh, his da'wah was too harsh, it was no good, it was against spirituality, blah, 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 blah. So some of them, the Sheikh said, they would make lies up about him. And they would make lies to get the people not to listen to him and not to lend their ears to the strength that he was quoting, Quran, Sunnah, Hadith. And some of the lies were considered to be silly and foolish. And one of those lies is that it's haram to eat bananas. You can't eat bananas. Now you may laugh now, okay? But if you're in a country, or even in America, in which you eat a lot of bananas, and this sheikh is saying that it's haram to eat bananas, you definitely want to think twice before you do what? No, before you what? No doubt. You can't. If somebody said you can't drink tea, somebody's teaching hadith says tea is haram, I'm definitely going to what? Second thing before I go and sit in this class. He's saying that's the thing. Everybody understand this? So I said bananas are what? Haram. Everybody understand this? So then he made up another lie. And that lie is that you can't use a spoon to eat. And you have to use your fingers, you have to use your hand. And he actually mentioned the name of a book. And the Sufi sheikh, he said the name of the book, he's having a conversation with one of the students of Sheikh Muqbil. He says, I'm telling you, your sheikh is crazy, man. I'm telling you. He's bugged out. You can't eat bananas, and he also said you can't use spoons. He says, the sheikh never said that. He says, trust me, he said it. This is after the sheikh had passed away. He's in the city. He says, what's the name of the book? He says, the name of the book is called As-Sawa'iq fi Tahrim al-Akli bil-Mala'iq. He said the name of the book is called As-Sawa'iq, which means thunderbolts. Regarding the impermissibility of eating with spoons. We know how the ulama make the title of the book to rhyme. Fathul Bari, Subul al-Salam, Sharh, Bulugh al-Maram fi Adillat al-Ahkam. So that was the name of the book, As-Sawa'iq. And obviously the name of the book is going to be symbolic of the what? The text of the book. Is that this is a groundbreaking study showing why it's impermissible to eat with what? Spoons. Like a what? A thunderbolt. Smashing, crashing, just destroying anything that falls upon. They said they're what? Like what? Like thunderbolts. Everybody understand this? So, he said, are you sure about this? He said, I'm positive, man. Trust me, the book is in a bookstore in the capital Yemen, Sana'a. So the sheikh who was in Sa'da, he's in Damaj, he says, all right, no problem. I'm coming to Sa'da now. This is not a close, this is far away. Whole different region. So, he got in the car or the bus, and he drove to Sana'a, looking for the book. He went to one bookstore. No one ever heard of the book. The bookstore wasn't found. So he went to the guy and says, where's the book that you said? He says, oh, well, the book is all sold out. There's no more copies of it. In other words, the alim, he knew for sure in his heart that Sheikh Muqbil never what? Never would say anything like that of that sort. Or even if he did, it was unknown from his sheikh. Everybody understand this? So he did not accept what that man said. And not only did he not accept it on the phone, but he did what? Traveled miles to debunk that lie against his teacher. So oftentimes the alim's spirit is so strong, so high, he just doesn't submit easily. Even if someone who seems to be trustworthy or saying some type of proof or evidence, because his spirit is so what? So strong. Because I sat with the sheikh, I studied with him, I'm his student. He didn't never ever say that about bananas or spoons. You see what I'm saying to you? So this is a very important concept here. Is when you study for some time, you get a strong spirit. And you're always not willing to do what? Hey, well, Nothing is going to shake your resolve. As we see today, once you just listen to the ulama, ya akhi, just listen to the brothers. You say you got to be part of the community, Sharif. If you want to get married, you got to be part of the community. You see what I'm saying to you? If you have, I know for sure, I have yaqeen in my heart, nothing is going to shake your what? Your resolve. Even if the doubts are tempting, it does make sense if you think about it. If you want to get married to a sister, you got to be part of a what? A real community. Wallahu alam. Fadl. Any questions online? Many questions, Yahi?
So what's the answer to the situation in the hadith?
About what?
We got
No questions on Tayammum until we finish what we want to read. Inshallah. Any other questions before we stop? Fadl. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Is it permissible for brothers like yourself, who went and studied and have some knowledge, go and attend the Islamic convention with the purpose of giving dawah?
Clear. Question says, with regards to someone such as yourself who has some knowledge, who's traveled overseas to go to an ISNA or ICNA conference, etc. Question is, or the answer would be a simple answer and a detailed answer. The simple answer is a yes and a no. For some brothers, it's permissible to go. Other brothers, it's impermissible to go. And the detail is, what is the description of this brother and what is the purpose of him going? To give a lecture, to speak about a certain thing? Is he making a situation better? Is he making a situation worse? What is ICNA? What is ISNA? What is wrong with ICNA? What is wrong with ISNA? Etc. Everybody understand this? So obviously in 2017, we are plagued with extremism from more than one front. There's some brothers who may say, if there's a student of knowledge who's supposed to be Salafi, he cannot go to any conference or masjid unless the masjid and conference is also Salafi, quote unquote. And they're very strong and decisive about this ruling. And then the other brothers who may say, a student of knowledge who's supposed to be Salafi, quote unquote, he can go wherever he wants to go and do whatever he wants to do, and lecture and speak in any masjid that he wants. Khairan, inshallah. So who's right? The Republicans or the Democrats? Both sides have their ways of looking at it. Both sides may have things that these sides consider to be dalil. We didn't say it's dalil, but they have things that they consider what? Dalil. Everybody understand this? And then we also have lack of detail from both sides. Some brothers are absolute, some brothers are absolute. Everybody clear on this? The bottom line is, if that a student of knowledge who has the necessary qualifications, the necessary education, if he can go to a conference and teach that which is correct and propagate that which is correct, and he himself not cooperate upon that which is clearly incorrect, then the asl, the default ruling, is that it's mandatory to give dawah. The default ruling is that it's highly recommended to give dawah. The default ruling is that a Muslim is to benefit his brothers and sisters from among the Muslims. ICNA, ISNA, this masjid, that masjid, so on and so forth. If a brother does not have the proper qualifications, he does not have the proper knowledge, he's going to a conference, ICNA, ISNA, or any other conference, in which he is going to be directly cooperating upon that which is itham and udwan, and he is not teaching the truth and speaking the truth, then that's a different what? That's a different story. Everybody clear on this? So we say that it depends on the student of knowledge, and it depends on the conference. And also, if you want to get technical, ICNA or ISNA or any other group or organization, oftentimes, when certain brothers say certain things, you say, why can't Fulan teach at this masjid? Because the Salaf were never with the innovators. The Salaf Salih, they were never with the innovators. They never sat with the innovators. They never argued with the innovators. Tayyib. Okay, no problem. We're not going to argue that because you haven't read the books of the Salaf Salih and Ahl al-Hadith. All right? And if you actually read and studied those books, you'll find something totally contrast to what you've been spoon-fed with regards to taking from an innovator, sitting with an innovator, debating with an innovator. You just took one author from one sheikh, but you actually haven't read Sahih Bukhari. And if you did, and if you knew what you were talking about, you would never say what you're saying. Absolutely. Secondly is, you ask yourself the question, why is Isno Ikna innovator? Why are they innovators? Tafaddal. Why are they innovators? What did they do of innovation? What made them innovators? Tafaddal. What are they going to say? They're Ikhwanul Muslimin. So, is everybody Ikna Islam Conference Ikhwanul Muslimin? What is Ikhwanul Muslimin? A political group? A dawah group? Huh? You may go to some masjid and say, oh, they're black nationalists at that masjid. Huh? Or they haven't freed themselves from Fulan. Is that innovation? Is that bid'ah? For me, I say that Khalid, I don't think he's an innovator. So because I don't agree that you consider him deviant, is that innovation? Or why don't you say, well, Muhammad ibn Munir? They may say, Mufti, oh, he got problems, the ulama, he made mistakes in jar wa tadil. They can't even pronounce the word properly. They say jar wa tadil. He made mistakes. He's been refuted on the internet. Okay, no problem. He was refuted. Does someone being refuted, is that an act of what? And does that make them an innovator? Obviously, if you get this point or this far in the conversation, they're going to become upset. They're going to start to stutter, and they may start talking about you and trying to defame you. But I just ask one simple basic question. In other words, you yourself don't have the necessary knowledge, nor do you have the necessary confidence in your own argument. And the proof is that you can't answer these basic, simple questions. Let alone the fact that if you want to actually get into the issue, is it permissible to go to a masjid or conference of actual innovation? From the Quran and Sunnah standpoint, let alone what the Sahaba and the Tabi'een did. Did Imam Ahmed narrate from Ahlul Bidah? Did he narrate from someone from the Qadariyah, from the Murji'ah? Are there narrators who were from the Khawarij and Sahih Bukhari? And the list goes on. If the answer is yes, then this obviously proves that there is no ijma'. And if there's no ijma', then how are you going to force me into taking a view and opinion that's not from Kitab Sunnah of ijma'? If it's not directly from Kitab Sunnah ijma', then it has to be an issue of what? Ijtihad. And if it's an issue of ijtihad, of personal differing, then you cannot what? Force me into it. You may be right, I may be right. But you cannot declare me to be wrong because I don't take your what? Own ijtihad. So once again, Sheikh, it depends on the person. And what's the purpose of going? What's the purpose of what? Of going. Everybody understand this? Wallahu alam. Fadlum.
Question from online, from HA from Berkshire, UK. May Allah preserve you, Ustad. If one prays witr after Isha and they wake up before Fajr and intend to pray more qiyam, what should they do? As there are no two witrs in one night.
Don't make witr. Don't make what?
Witr.
Don't make two witrs in one night. The simple, easy way, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, is to delay all of your prayer. It's to sleep for some time, 3 hours, 2 hours, depending on the night, how long, whatever you want to pray. And when you wake up, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you make your 2, 4, 6, 8, and you make your witr. Bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu alam. Fadal.
From Shahid Ahmed from NYC. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. What is the ruling regarding tawassul through scholars who are dead? Some cite proof of its validity.
That are dead. And some people use the proof that people at Ibn Taymiyyah's janazah drunk from his water. We say first and foremost is a tawassul literally means to seek beseechment, to seek a means, to seek a bridge. You're here, I need or I want to be here, but I need something between. Everybody clear on this? And there's 3 types of that. The first is making tawassul to Allah, to His beautiful names and perfect attributes. You're looking for a job. And instead of you just calling out to Allah, you say, Ya Razaq, O provider, provide me. You're in battle, you say, Ya Qawi, Qawini, O strong one, give me strength. The second is for you to make tawassul with your righteous deeds in general. And what? In general. Oh Allah, indeed I made Hajj for you 6 times. Oh Allah, if I did this sincerely for you, then please deliver me from this hardship that I'm in. And last but not least is making tawassul with the dua of a righteous Muslim. Of a righteous Muslim. You see someone that you think and feel is righteous, and you say, make dua for me, whether you put it on your license plate or not. Everybody understand this? I don't know who's going to read that license plate, someone that's righteous or not. Al-Muhim, it's through someone who seems to be what? Righteous. Please, what? Pray for me. Everybody clear on this? Obviously, this person who is alive, this person you're asking to make dua for you has to be what? Alive. He has to be alive. And if he's dead, then you're going to fall into several problems. The first is the Prophet ﷺ never ever instructed us to do this. Secondly is this person who's dead, does he have the ability to hear you and listen to you? Or is he or she busy with their own good or bad deeds? Thirdly is, you asking a dead person for something, is that an act of shirk? Allah said that the people or the things that you call upon in the Quran are what? They're what? Amwat. غَيْرُ أَحْيَاء وَلَا يَشْعُرُونَ أَيَّانَ يُبْعَثُونَ. Allah says those they call upon are dead. غَيْرُ أَحْيَاء. Listen carefully, the Quran. They're dead. غَيْرُ أَحْيَاء. Who aren't alive. If they're dead, then obviously they're not what? Alive. But the Quran reassures the point. Nor do these people that they call upon know when they themselves are going to be resurrected. I.e., that means they cannot help what? No, asant. They themselves don't know. They can't help themselves, let alone those who call upon them. So that's an extremely problematic issue. To make tawassul through someone who's what? Who's dead. Everybody understand this? Now that's a very long argument and discussion with regards to the Prophet ﷺ, bijahi fulan, al-muhim. Ibn Taymiyyah's funeral, rahimahullah ta'ala, it says here that the people, they drank from the water for which they washed him. First of all, because they drank from the water, that meant that was tawassul? Or does that mean that they sought barakah? Not saying that it's still correct, but that's two different issues. Number two, who drank from the water? The knowledgeable, righteous people, or the people like hundreds, if not millions of others, who just loved Ibn Taymiyyah and looked at him as a big champion and hero? Number three, is Ibn Taymiyyah the legislator of the deen or Muhammad? So if Ibn Taymiyyah, if he did it himself and said it's okay himself, and Allah's deen, that means what? Zilch. No matter how knowledgeable Ibn Taymiyyah what? Is. Because Ibn Taymiyyah is not what? Muhammad ﷺ. And it's just that simple. But the problem comes here. This is the Marabatul Faras. This is the reign of the horse now. The saddles, this right here, is that many people who call themselves Salafis, Sunnis, Ahlul Sunnah, Ahlul Hadith, they have so much extremism and fanaticism when it comes to personalities such as Ibn Taymiyyah, to bash and destroy and demolish people that they don't agree with, Sufis, Hizb Tahrir, whatever name or group they are, is that these people, they also have scholars among them. And these scholars, what do these scholars do, Talib? What do they do? These people, Jamaat Tabligh, Ash'ari, whatever name, what do? These scholars, they read the books of the Salafis, quote unquote, and find what? Loopholes. They find problematic issues. And it says, well, here, read this. Ibn Taymiyyah did this. Imam Ahmad said that. You can swear by the Prophet's name, and kada, and kada, and kada, and kada, and kada. And this immature person that doesn't have the necessary knowledge is now dumbfounded. Oh, snaps. And now he has a major problem now. See? Ibn Taymiyyah himself said you can call upon the dead. Ibn Qayyim himself, kada. Imam Ahmad said, kada. So now you're stuck. Because of your fanaticism and using Ibn Taymiyyah as an unstoppable weapon, which you shouldn't have been doing in the first place. It's not the Prophet ﷺ. Everybody understand this? So in actuality, this Sufi person, this grave person, is actually going to have a point against you. And that's why there is no personality worship in the deen. We love Ibn Taymiyyah. One of my favorite, if not my favorite author. But he is not who? The Prophet ﷺ. So when you use his words and his statements, they support the Kitab and the Sunnah, and they do not become the what? The Kitab and the Sunnah. Extremism begets more what? More extremism. Ghulu only produces more what? Ghulu. Everybody clear on this? It never stops. and you use a person, I quote someone, it never ever ends. So did Muhammad allow this to be done? Did the Sahaba? So Ibn Taymiyyah, what they did at his funeral is totally out of the what? It means nothing. Everybody clear on this? Let alone the fact that everybody at Ibn Taymiyyah's funeral wasn't a scholar, wasn't someone who had ilm. So that's totally bogus and false for any legal proof. Nothing that Ibn Taymiyyah did is legal dalil, nor Ibn al-Qayyim, nor Ibn Rajab, nor Imam Ahmed. Everybody clear on this? The only one whose statement is absolute dalil is who? An-Nabi al-Kareem, alayhi salam. No one else. Wallahu alam. Beware, brothers and sisters in the UK and any other place. Beware of being caught up in fanaticism. Albani, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Baz, beautiful, wonderful scholars. But you do not go extreme, because they can find things which are going to make you look stupid. This is going to mean a major contradiction now. All of the ulama agreed, you have to call yourself Salafi. Then when you find this one and you quote Fulan, he never said it. He never said it. Then you're going to look what? You may even revert from Islam. You may even go back. You may even apostate. Huh? So be mindful. Wallahu alam. Fadl.
Question from Wife NB from Toronto. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh, hayakallah. Can you list a series of books that would allow one to become grounding usul tafsir if a student studied them from beginner's level to advanced?
طيب. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A detailed list obviously can't be done right now. However, from the most beneficial books that have been written is Muqaddimah of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala. Introduction of Usul al-Tafsir of Ibn Taymiyyah. There are a few scholars of the current day who have explained the book, and it is one of the strong, or one of the most strong, or one of the strongest books that have been written on the topic. Obviously, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah has a small good beginner's book called Usul Fit Tafsir, or Usul al-Tafsir. It's a small beginner's book, very helpful, very useful in Arabic and in English. It has been translated. Also, you want to get all of the books that deal with Ulum al-Quran. A very good book of the modern age is called Mabahith fi Ulum al-Quran by Mannan al-Qattan. Very good book. Mabahith fi Ulum al-Quran. Everybody clear on this? These are just 3 books. If you haven't read them, get them, study them. Ibn Taymiyyah's book first. Ibn Uthaymeen's book first. Ibn Taymiyyah's book second. And last but not least is the book of Mannan al-Qattan. Take those 3 books, break them down, read them. Anything that's troublesome or even separately. However, not to leave you empty-handed, 3 books, which I consider, in my humble opinion, which are books, beginner, intermediate, and what? Advanced. That's more than enough for now. Obviously, last but not least, is not to suffice yourself with the books on the topic. A good example of this, if you want to really get good in Ulum al-Quran, is reading actual tafsir. Everybody clear on this? A brief story. Once, when I wanted to learn how to play chess, everybody understand this? Like really good. And I came across a teacher. I said, how do I play chess? What should I do? What's the best way of learning the strategy, becoming good? He says, play chess. Just what? Just play the game. So read the tafsir. Read Ibn Kathir. Read Tabari. Read Qurtubi. Just read it. And in that book, you're going to find them dealing with Lugha, Ibn Abbas, Bahaq, Ikrimah. You're going to find hadiths. You're going to find different principles and points and techniques just by what? Reading it. Everybody clear on this? Obviously, there has to be theory. No doubt, there should be theory when you learn how to play chess. Should be theory. Theory. Controlling of the middle. Advancement of the pieces. Castling the king. Bringing out the queen. Not to, etc. There's theory. But the greatest way of learning it and becoming a master is what? Playing it. So that's the best way of learning the books of learning Usul al-Tafsir is actual tafsir. Actual what? Tafsir. And I guarantee, if you take 3 books, just 3, Qurtubi, Tabari, Ibn Kathir, take one volume from each book, from the beginning, Fatiha, to verse 100 from Surah Al-Baqarah. Read all 3 books, and I guarantee you're going to find many consistent themes. You can write them down. You're going to find in all 3 books, 3 authors who died different times, different areas of the earth they came from, you're going to find that all three of them what? Are consistent in. Not everything, but what? Many things. So those 10 things that were consistent from Tabari, Qurtubi, Ibn Kathir, that's going to prove you that this is a what? That's an asl. So you have 10 usul. You have 10 what? Usul. And then the other issues over which they differed in their style was contrast. You also want to learn that that's not necessarily asl, but it's from the techniques of tafsir. You also want to find mistakes and errors. Everybody clear on this? And avoiding those mistakes and errors is also from the usul of tafsir. That's the best advice that I can give you right now. Hopefully that makes sense. Wallahu alam. Fadal.
S.A. Salam alaikum from Philadelphia. Is it permissible to attend graduation?
Is it permissible to attend the graduation? The only thing that will make graduation haram is something haram being done there that you're directly partaking in. So your son graduates from school, you congratulate him, say alhamdulillah, you give your son a hug and a kiss, take him out to dinner. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not ibadah. It's not a holiday. It's not a Christian holiday. Bidnillahi ta'ala, it's a means of he's passed all of the evaluations for this level of education. Now you dancing and singing, it's a different story. The ruling on taking pictures, different story. You mixing and mingling with non-Muslims, non-mahramin, that's a different story. But if you went there with your religion, with your agenda, in and out, holding your head high as a Muslim, you didn't do anything that's haram, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully there's nothing wrong with that. We will stop here, whereas it's time for Salat al-Isha. Jazakumullahu khairan. If you didn't get your question answered, please be patient until tomorrow. If not, until Thursday. Allah knows best. Thank you very much for your time, attention, and respect.